Hey everybody, how are you today? Today we're diving into the book of Esther, and it's a captivating story of courage, intrigue, and divine timing. We'll be covering chapters 1 through 5, which is to set the stage of one of the most dramatic showdowns in the Bible. The cool part? God isn't even mentioned once in this entire book. You can see his hand and his work at every single chapter, but no mention of his name. Our main idea today is to show that God works behind the scenes using ordinary people and unexpected events to fulfill his sovereign plans. Our story begins in the Persian Empire, ruled by King Xerxes. Chapter 1, Xerxes throws an epic 180-day feast to show off his wealth and his power. It's like a 6-month Thanksgiving, rehearsal dinner, and Super Bowl party all rolled into one. Now, at the end of the party, he commands his wife, Queen Vashti, to appear before his male guests, displayed in all of her beauty. Now, displayed is generally believed to be an erotic nature, revealing herself, leaving nothing to imagine. Truly, the original trophy wife situation. By the way, guys, don't try this ever. Ever. Don't. I promise it won't end well. Vashti, who could blame her? Well, she refuses to come. This act of defiance infuriates the king and his advisors, who fear it will set a dangerous precedent for all the women in the empire. What they were really saying is this: if she gets away with this and doesn't follow the king's demands, then our wives and daughters, well, they'll think they can get away with this too. In response, they convince the king to depose Vashti, leaving the throne empty. This leads us to the next point in chapter 2, Esther's rise to power. So a search begins for a new queen, sort of a beauty contest, you might say. Women are gathered from all over the empire, including a young Jewish orphan named Esther, or Hadassah as her Jewish name is. Her cousin Mordecai raised her since her parents died. And when Esther is taken to the palace, Mordecai instructs her to not reveal her Jewish identity. After a year of preparation, Esther is brought before King Xerxes, and he immediately falls in love with her. He places a royal crown on her head, making her the new queen of Persia. Talk about a dramatic turn of events. Now, every story needs a villain. Enter Haman, a high-ranking official who had been recently promoted by King Xerxes in chapter 3. Well, Haman is full of pride, and everyone is commanded to bow down to him. But Mordecai, he refuses to bow because, as a Jew, he bows only to God. This infuriates Haman to such an extent that he doesn't just want to punish Mordecai, he decides to annihilate the entire Jewish people throughout the empire. Seems a bit of overreaction, doesn't it? There's a reason behind this. You see, Haman was an Agagite, a descendant of King Agag of the Amalekites. They're bitter enemies of Israel. They hated them, in fact. Back in 1 Samuel, Saul was commanded to go and utterly destroy the Amalekites and leave no one alive. But he spared the king. And when Samuel found out, Samuel himself showed up with a sword, and he finished the job because of Saul's disobedience. Point being, this grudge against the Jews goes much deeper than Haman being offended by Mordecai. Haman convinces the king Xerxes to issue a decree to the Jews' destruction, setting a date for the massacre. And then in chapter 4, Mordecai learns of the decree and sends a desperate message to Queen Esther. He urges her to go to the king and plead for her people. But Esther hesitates, because approaching the king without being summoned, well, that's a death sentence, unless he holds out his golden scepter to you. But she sends a message back to Mordecai, expressing her fear. And this is where Mordecai delivers one of the most powerful lines in the entire Bible. Do not think that in the king's palace you alone of all the Jews will escape. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance of the Jews will arise from another place. But you and your father's family, they'll perish. And who knows but that if you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. This is the moment of truth for Esther. This brings us to chapter 5. Esther decides to act. She asks Mordecai and all the Jews in Susa to fast for 3 days. And after the fast, she puts on her royal robes. She walks into the inner court to see the king. Well, the king sees her and mercifully extends his golden scepter to her. Her life, well, it's spared. And when the king asks her what she desires, she doesn't immediately reveal Haman's plot. Instead, she invites the king and Haman to a private banquet. During this banquet, she invites them to a second banquet the next day, building the suspense and setting the stage for the big reveal. And that's where we're going to leave it today. Sorry, I know you hate cliffhangers, but we see how a series of seemingly unrelated events, a queen's defiance, a beauty contest, a man's pride, and a courageous act, all converge for a single purpose. It's a reminder that even when we can't see what God is doing, He's always at work. Esther's journey from a hidden orphan to a brave heroine is just beginning. What will happen at that second banquet? Well, you'll have to wait till the next video to find out. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Join us again here tomorrow on Set Sail with Grace Harbor.